Hey, Paul Hammer's Ricochet Gunworks, and this is my dummy Bob. Bob, why are you shining that on everybody? What's our topic for today, Bob? You bet. Use of handheld lights in defensive situations. Hey man, if you have a firearm as part of your personal safety plan, I suggest that you also have a light handy. And here's the deal. Those lights have to help you do something. And that something is PID. Positively identify the thing that's going bump in the night. Let's talk about how many forms these lights that are used for positive identification can take. One of them is they can be mounted to a weapon. They could be mounted to a rifle. They could be mounted to a handgun. If it's for home defense, it'll most likely be mounted to a handgun. Now, here's the thing. I do not recommend that you search with a firearm mounted light. When things go bumping in the night and you get all jacked up, do you want to go running around the house pointing your firearm, i.e. your light, and searching for what went bump? Maybe it's your son came home from college a day early and didn't want to wake you up, so he sneaked into the house at 2 in the morning to surprise you. Maybe it's your daughter coming home late from a party. Maybe it's your neighbor who accidentally got into the wrong house and you could just yell at him to leave. What if you're so jacked up, then you're surprised and you let a projectile fly? This is the story that tragedy is made out of. Don't be part of a tragedy. Let's move on. Maybe you want to have a handheld light handy. It's okay to have that light on your weapon, but do your searching with something that's handheld. You know, I can point this at anything I want, and this beam of light won't do anything except give me a headache if I shine it in my eyes. A handheld light gives you many more non-lethal options. Nobody says you have to walk out into the open with the light and say, hey, here I am with my light. But you can do it from behind cover. You can shine the light off the ceiling in an umbrella effect. You can bounce and do what we call splashing the light off the floor into other rooms. And you can still stay safely behind cover. Issuing commands from behind cover with a light, hey, get out of my house. Hey, identify yourself. Much better than pointing a gun at them until you are absolutely sure, PID, positive identification, that there's somebody who is there to do you harm. It's not always black and white. Now, having said all that, Paul, I just don't want to hear all those stories, but what I do want to know is, what am I looking for in a light? Hey, just in luck. I got it. I got it right here. Stay tuned. Interested, Bob? Yeah, he is. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. We got a couple things we want to look at when we're using a handheld light. But before we get into that, we need to talk a little bit about what kind of pattern a light throws. Now, there's two words we need to know. One of those words is lumens, and the other word is candela. Lumens is 100% of the output. 100% of the output. Candela is the focused intensity of the output. It's all light moving in the same direction or oriented in the same direction. So it's the light intensity, right? Lumens, total power. Candela is the focused, non-diluted intensity. Make sense? So don't let these numbers confuse you. Do you want all the lumens of the sun? Maybe. Some people used to say, hey man, too many lumens. You'll shine it in your house. It'll bounce off the wall. It will blind you. It's BS, okay? That doesn't really happen. You go find a light that'll blind you by bouncing the light off the wall. Will it surprise an attacker? You bet, especially if they're in the dark. But will it blind you and incapacitate you for life? No. If you're the one using the light, doesn't happen, even if you shine on a very bright white wall while searching for something that went bump in the night. So don't be fooled by that. But what I am going to tell you is lumens is not the only number you should be looking at. A combination of candela, which I say is the useful quantity of focused light energy, and total output, lumens, a good blend between the two. The higher the lumens, the more focused the beam, the sharper that center, right? Maybe not as big of a hot spot, and the hot spot is that intensely focused white light in the center. We call this a hot spot. So this focused part in the center that's very bright, that's our hot spot. This lesser quantity of light, less bright light, is what we would call the halo. It kind of makes a halo around that hot spot. This hot spot is very useful for positively identifying what you're looking at, right? And sometimes the blend of how big this hot spot is and how bright it is changes how wide of an area you can inspect with light at one time. Make sense? Hope it does. Now, let's get rid of this. Now, if I have something that I'm interested in looking at, let's say a person, I want to see what does their face look like, what's in their hand. I'm going to use the hot spot of my light to hopefully put enough brightness on them to see what's in their hand. Sometimes that brightness is just enough for the torso. Sometimes it's enough for the torso down to the legs up to the head. And a lot of whether that's enough is going to be based on distance and how tightly focused that hot spot is. If I have this halo like this, and maybe there's more than one person with them, I might also be able to see who those other people are beside them, or beside my main person, beside my center person. I might be able to see who these people are beside my center person, the one that I have the hot spot focused on, but I might not be able to tell what's in their hand. It all depends, again, the amount of candela, that is the focused light energy, right? How big that hot spot is, and what distance I am away from them. Remember, the hot spot changes distance as you come closer to what you're looking at or go farther away from what you're looking at. Sometimes this hot spot may be big enough to identify what's in the hands of both people, one on each side of your primary object that you're looking at. Sometimes you'll have to change the center of your beam and where it's aimed to see what's in each hand. Not a problem. This light, very tight focus. So very tight focus. You can see things on the periphery in that halo, but you really have to focus individually on each target to see exactly what they're doing. This one, it's bright enough at 12 to 10 yards. You can see what's in everybody's hands if they're relatively close to each other. And of course this one, I'm not sure that we can see what's in anybody's hands for sure, although we have a pretty good indication. So one more time, here we go. You can kind of see it all here. We can definitely see them all here. We can definitely see when we focus. And although, I will tell you right now, that the lumens on this one is higher than this one, I like the focus beam here. And this is a prime example of a good use of candela to focus a beam, given the number of lumens that you have. And here, just pure lumens allowing them to drive a large number of candela to spread out. And so basically candela is how you use those lumens, how you focus them and manipulate them for concentrations. And the lumens is the power that pushes them out, right? So there's many things that go in it then just beside the lumens. But here's the deal. Not being able to get out as far as you need to with the light energy is going to be the limiting factor. So you want very high candela if you're expecting to have to go outside and use your light across the yard, say further than 20, 30, 40 yards, right? You can have a less candela, right? Less focused light and less lumens pushing that focus if you're just going to be using it in your house, across your garage, down the hallway, down the stairs. Does this make sense? I hope it does. Here's one more thing that we have to talk about. If you're in your dark bedroom and you're shining your light out through the doorway and the living room is lit up and there's light passing down, and then there's another room on the other side, say a pantry or something like that, that's dark, your light needs enough lumens to push the focused part, the candela, into this other area of darkness after being diluted and fighting the light in the lighted area. This piece is called the photonic barrier. It means that the light here will diffuse your light as it shines through, and maybe not enough useful light lights up this darkened area so that you can see if there's actually somebody in there. And if you can see if somebody's in there, can you see what's in their hand? After all, it's the hands that kill. What's in their hands will be the greatest danger to you if they're in your house for nefarious reasons. Anyway, those are the basics. So what are we looking for? We're looking for something that has high candela, high lumens to push the candela, but we're also looking for it in the proper balance for our needs. If we want an outdoor rifle-mounted light where we want to see 100, 150, perhaps even 200 yards with that light and still be able to positively identify something, we're looking for an entirely different combination of focused energy, candela, and lumens to push that focus spot, entirely different mounting system, etc. If we're looking for a handheld light to be used inside, we're looking for something perhaps with a wider beam. We can get by with lower lumens to push that focused spot, that intense candela measured area, and that's okay. But it has to do one thing that we mentioned in the beginning. PID. Positively identify. It has to light something up so we can positively identify what it is we're looking at. And without that, the light is useless. In fact, I will tell you, it could even be dangerous because you can't see what you need. You can't gather enough information to make a good personal safety choice. Engage the target because they're trying to hurt you, or back off because it's your daughter who came home late at night. Think about that. More to come. But for now, it's a wrap.